Every company takes a different approach in marketing. Sony did a very different thing. They never said it's the greatest, it's the latest, or something the best. They said it's the basic model. And what they gave was something like this, what you're seeing through. Sony A7 III, probably the perfect budget full frame camera which has been ever manufactured. Welcome to my review. Photographic world was just left gasping with the way the features of the Sony camera were announced. I mean, backside illuminated sensors, 24 megapixels, 10 frames, autofocusing system of A9. What else do you want? We were just blown away by the features what was offered to us at a price nobody could even imagine, $2,000. In India it comes at 1,65,000 rupees. Still very much affordable for a full frame with these many features. Well, I'm not a professional photographer. I just love taking pictures. I just love the colors, and I just love to keep the memories in a way which truly keeps me fascinated throughout my lifetime. I was using a crop sensor Nikon D5200 and always wanted to upgrade to full frame. And then came along many cameras, and then I stumbled upon this A7. The specs of these cameras can be seen all across the internet, and you will see many people who are better than me in taking pictures and photography have reviewed upon. This is just my opinion as a average consumer, as an average user, what it offers to me. I was one of the very first few lucky people to get this camera on hand. I also got Zeiss 55 1.8 and Zeiss 28 f2. I mean, with this combo it makes perfect camera, and it just blew my mind. It had a very good autofocus, good ISO performance, fast burst rate, and the buffer is good. I mean, phenomenal. What else can I say about it? Ergonomics of this camera are not the greatest thing. It doesn't feel that comfortable when you're holding it hand when compared to my old DSLR. This is a little clumsy, the fingers don't go in that easily, but still it's not that bad. You cannot just thrash it like an angry photographer, but still decent enough to be held in your hand. And coming to the menu system, which is probably one of the gripes of this camera, till you get used to this menu system, it's a little difficult. You know, it has too many pages, sub pages, and when you go into the those titles, again you have so many things in between. This is a steep learning curve. Despite that, once you get used to those systems, once you know what you are comfortable with, once you customize your buttons, it's not all that difficult. Menu is not as bad as it is said in many of the reviews. Viewfinder, optical viewfinder or electronic viewfinder? Definitely electronic viewfinder. It's like, you know, VR, but in a single eye. I mean, what you see is what you get. You know, in using a DSLR, once you see a beautiful thing on an optical viewfinder, it's probably the best thing you have missed while taking a picture. But it's not like in a mirrorless camera or an electronic viewfinder. What you see is what you get. Probably this is the best thing in a mirrorless camera, and I'm just loving it. Monitor, it's a 3-inch monitor. It gives all the functionalities, but the touch functions are not enabled. But autofocusing while touching the screen is enabled. That's reasonable, but it's not as crisp and as quick as you would expect it, but it still does its job. And the monitor is really bad while using a on a bright sunlight, you will have to rely upon the viewfinder to get all the details. Let's talk about the most important part of this camera, and that is the autofocus. For years, the camera manufacturers have been trying to emulate a human eye. We can track a subject. There's no blackout, no buffer, instantly stored in our brain, and we can recollect it as soon as we want it. But it's not the same when you're using artificial intelligence. But Sony has done a phenomenal job in tracking a subject, locking onto a subject, processing, and the buffer is something which they have greatly improved over the previous camera. Especially when I compare it to my Nikon D5200, it's not a comparison. This is truly the best autofocus system I've ever used in my lifetime. Sony has always been known for its image quality, dynamic range, clarity, color science. There's no question about the sensor. It's truly phenomenal. Of course, the details of all these tests can be seen in a different channel, but for me as an average consumer, it gives me a very good dynamic range. You know, in those dark places where I could not have recovered with my crop sensor, the colors are still very much recovered. Even in those highlights where it's completely blown out, I can recover a lot with this camera. Let's talk about the video quality of this camera. Truly phenomenal. Probably there is no competition for Sony cameras in terms of image quality in 4K in a full frame sensor. You know, it gives me the 25p, 50, 100. Since I live in a PAL country, these are the frame rates I get offered. For 4K, it's just the 25p. If you're going for 1080, you get the different frame rates. When you are shooting at 100 frames per second and then you slow it down, it gives me the truly clear, crispy, buttery smooth slow-mo. I'll show you some examples of it. You know, you would just love it. Battery life. This is not something which you should be worried about. It is as comparable to my DSLR. It gives about 7-10 shots in a monitor, and with the viewfinder it gives about 6-10 shots. That's the company's statement, but probably when you are pulling a high frame rate, probably you should be getting much more shots than that, and that's not something which we should be worried about. Let's talk something which I don't like about this camera, and that is the flaps, side flaps. They're flimsy, you know, it looks as if it can be easily pulled out, you know, they get worn out very easily. That is something which I don't like about this camera. The ergonomics of this camera are not really great, and these are the only few things which I don't like about this. Otherwise, this offers me the industry standards of what is expected of a camera at this price point. This is probably the best value for money camera which is in the market in 2018 April. Yeah, this is not the most technical, elaborate, detailed review of this camera, because this has much more specifications than what I spoke about. But for an average consumer, where does it fit in? It fits perfectly when you want to use a full frame camera, when you want to just take pictures, videos, keep a memory of all that. Even if you want to use that in a professional way, this will do its job. Thanks for tuning in. Like, subscribe, comment, share, and if you want me to test any of the features of this camera, just let me know. I'll test those ones and post it in the future videos. Thanks again.